Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you'll meet the great JP Piccinini. He was born in Naples, Italy, moved to Texas, rural Texas, when he was 13 years old, and went on to become one of the most successful entrepreneurs I've ever had the privilege of calling a friend. His incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I was born in America, and I've run into so many people who are blaming the government for their problems, they're blaming Wall Street for their problems, and then sometimes it takes a true entrepreneur to come into your life, somebody who was not born here, somebody who's running circles around everybody else you know, to remind you that this is the greatest country on the planet. I mean, you can have the American dream if you really put your mind to it. Somebody who knows that very well is my good friend JP Piccinini. He's the CEO of Vesuvius Holdings. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, Jeff, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We've known each other for at least a decade now, and I've had a chance to just watch your business thrive. But I want to start by taking us way back. So you're born in Naples, Italy.
Born in Naples, Italy, yep. That's where the name Vesuvius Holdings actually comes from, Mount Vesuvius.
Oh, cool.
Right there on the Bay of Naples, and yeah. As a little boy, I stared at Mount Vesuvius every morning, so it brings me back to my childhood days.
Okay, so what brought you to America?
My father was pretty ballsy, and none of us spoke any English, and somebody tapped on his shoulder and said, hey, do you want to go to Sheppard Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas, and uproot your whole entire family and go and be run basically the NATO detachment for Italian Air Force there, Sheppard Air Force Base.
Wow. Okay. Now you become a fish out of water because number one, you don't speak English. You're 13 years old.
Yeah. Freshman in high school at that.
Yeah, and that's a tough age.
Yeah.
And you got a bunch of I'm going to say cowboys.
Yeah, cowboys. That's right. Yeah. Now I'm an Italian cowboy. I've assimilated pretty well. It took me a little while to assimilate. But...
Okay. Were they tough on you?
Oh, absolutely. And the great thing, I didn't know any word, anything that they were saying to me. So typical high school bulliness or whatever you want to call it these days, but being mean or whatever. But a lot of people ask me why don't I have an accent. It's because I really wanted to blend in. Silly me, with a name like Giuseppe, I wasn't really going to blend in Burkburnett High School and just on the Red River there. But I had so much fun. I look back now, and those days, our youth passes by so fast that I look back, no matter what I might have faced, learning English is definitely nothing to the challenges that we face today as an entrepreneur, is for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I want to pull up a picture of you in your youth, and what else you describe? Okay, how old are you here?
I was about to start puberty there, it looks like, at the young age of 26, I believe.
Have you had facial hair?
I don't think so. I think I got more hair now than I did then.
Okay, so at that period of your life, what were you doing?
What was I? Well, so I, I'll try to do the cliff note. I was born in Italy, came to Wichita Falls. I went to school at Midwestern State University and got an engineering degree. Was fortunate to be hired right out of college and to become an engineer. And then right after 9/11, there was a lot of anti-immigrant feelings in the United States, to say so, even discrimination against all sorts of immigrants. If you were an American, you were basically one of the guys that bombed 9/11.
Right.
So even though I was Italian, I was feeling it as well. So I decided, I was just married, my first marriage, and we had a little girl. I wanted to go back home. I wanted to go back to Italy for a couple of years, let my daughter be close to my family, my parents and whatnot, which at the time were still living in Italy. So I took a job with a company called Electrolux as an engineer. And that's, I was living in Milan, Italy as an engineer. And that's me working with riding lawnmowers which were my projects. I was responsible for the riding lawnmower all across Europe, which sounds really fancy, but basically I was cutting grass all over Europe.
But you've always had hustle. Like nothing was ever handed to you. I mean, you had to work for it.
Yeah. I wasn't born wealthy for sure. My father was a sergeant in the Italian Air Force, retired Chief Master Sergeant, so he had a really successful Air Force career. But no, I think what separates immigrants from a lot of the Americans, and not all of them, because a lot of Americans have the hustle, is that the immigrants come here with a chip on our shoulder. We got to pay our way. 2, we've got to prove our worth here. That's always I looked at it. And 3, I mean, you come to the greatest country. Most of us were born with nothing. So you see the wealth, you see the success that a lot of people can achieve in this country, and you want to emulate it to make your family proud. So.
Wow. Okay, we're going to fast forward to the real estate career. So how did you get your break into real estate?
I was 29 years old, and I decided I was going to pull a Jerry Maguire. I was an engineer still with Electrolux, and I saw the writing on the wall. I didn't want to be a 40, 50-year-old engineer or work in a manufacturing plant. So I started looking at other careers that really fueled my skill set, my interests, and I started making a typical pro and cons list, and somehow I ran into a real estate career, which was flexible hours and unlimited earnings and be your own boss and whatnot, which none of that is true if you're a real estate agent, by the way, because you're never off, and your unlimited potential is only based on how many hours you work, which is nonstop. But I was not a stranger to hard work. I worked very long hours, and decided to go and be a realtor back in 2004.
2004, which was actually a time when it was starting to come out of the dot-com
That's
bust,
right.
and it was a pretty good time to be in real estate.
That party stopped really fast because
Yes.
the dot-com 2007, a little dip in the real estate industry.
All right. So at that point, you didn't have your own brokerage.
No, I was still a realtor. And let me tell you, after 2007, the market crash, my business doubled and tripled because I was already a professional full-time. Again, I worked long hours. I was committed to my career. And I became the number one realtor in my market, did extremely well, set all kinds of records, and decided eventually to move back to Dallas, DFW, where my ex-wife's family was from, and our kids had grown and wanted to be down in Dallas. I saw such a larger opportunity to be in DFW over where I was, which is Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay, but then starting your own thing, that's always a risk. How did you make the decision to do your own thing?
Confidence. I've done really well as a realtor in Columbia, South Carolina, which in a way you're somewhat of an entrepreneur as a realtor as well. You're an independent contractor, you're running your own business, and a lot of my fellow realtors, and I'm not a realtor anymore, but a lot of realtors do run very successful businesses. I was ready for the next thing. I'd done that, been there, done that, sold a lot of homes myself as an agent, wanted to go and be the broker owner and the founder of a large firm, and went on and formed this small little company called JP and Associates Realtors out of my kitchen table. And 2 agents became 20, 20 became 40, 40 becomes 400, close to 4,000.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, you were a disruptor because the business model at the time was very predictable.
It was,
And how did you change it?
I still have the airplane barf bag that I wrote. I was flying back from a family vacation. I was flying, always gets me going, whatever juices. I don't know, maybe it's the radiation of the airplanes or the high altitude, one of the two. But no, I took out this barf bag, and I wrote down in the barf bag, what would I want as an agent? Remember, I've been an agent for so many years that I knew what I was looking for. So basically I put my realtor hat on. What would be the ideal best brokerage scenario for a realtor? And I wrote down everything that a realtor would want in a brokerage, and I went for it. And the first thing was, of course, I don't want to give 30, 40, 50% of my commission to my broker. They don't deserve it. They didn't earn it. And so I kind of started a transaction fee-based brokerage where it doesn't matter if you sell a $100,000 home or $1 million home, you pay the broker the same amount.
Wow.
Because the broker in the end is an administrative services support to the realtor.
And realtors, of course, talk, and they share information about how much they made on that last home. And I think, I came into your life maybe 10 years ago, and your company was already in hyper growth at that point. So we've got a picture, and I want you to talk about this picture because you've had a chance to rub elbows with
look at that, yeah.
some of the
Freddie.
biggest names.
Yeah. I mean, that's Fred Eklund, Swedish immigrant again.
Yes.
Another perfect scenario of an immigrant. He holds no back. He was a porn star. He was a male porn star. I don't know if you knew that about
I didn't
him.
know that.
Oh yeah, he was a male porn star. Left Sweden, became a male porn star. Very good-looking man, by the way. If you're ever next to that guy, you're gonna have a complex. Okay, Swedish, 6'4", 6'5", perfectly trimmed, whatever, all put together. Super funny, amazing, big personality, and he's one of the top brokers in the world now. But he was just getting started in New York City in that photo there, and on the TV show $1 Million Listing New York. LA had been going on for quite a while. We're good friends with those guys, and then venture off. They spun off into New York, and that was the first season. So I knew Fred would be a big hit. And I brought him down to open up my first office in Plano. So that's the ribbon cutting for the office in Plano.
Wow. Okay, you had a very successful exit a couple years ago, 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
But you're not one to just kind of rest on your laurels. You're a serial entrepreneur. I think you probably created 3 companies while we're
about a
talking
dozen
here.
of them. Yeah. Oh, not while we're sitting here. No. No. I'm just thinking what's for lunch. Sure, no.
And I want to brag about your home team. Let's go ahead and pull up the photo of his beautiful
look at that.
family.
Yeah.
Amazing family. Talk about your family, because they're your rock.
Yeah. It's just like success is not a straight path. Certainly, the family for me hasn't been, I would say, a direct path. And a lot of it. So any entrepreneur, I want to give you probably one of the biggest advice that I can give you. All of us have a personal life, and all of us have a business life. Don't try to seek balance, because balance does not exist in personal and business. You just got to make a priority and just set your priorities straight. And if business is your priority at that time, you need to have a hard talk with your family and say, right now, Daddy's building a business. I got to take a step back. Otherwise, you're going to fail both miserably. Or if you're focusing on personal, then so be it. And after I sold my company for 3 years ago, whatever, I decided to kind of focus now. It was time to focus on my family and personal stuff, and found my wife and kids, and we blended our families, and that's why now we have 25 kids between us.
I think you have a soccer team for sure.
Only five.
And as I mentioned, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's involved in a lot of different projects, but one that I really admire you for is the restaurant business. We're going to pull up some video. This came from your Facebook page. Tell us about the concept.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I was tired of people asking me, where could you eat great Italian food in Dallas, authentic Italian food in Dallas? And there just wasn't one. To be frankly honest, there just wasn't. I would say my kitchen. So how could I feed everybody in DFW or and guests even, they were flying in that couldn't fit in my kitchen? The first thought was, let's open up a restaurant, which it started as an amazing hobby. Now it's a legitimate business, and it's gone really, it's exceeded my expectations, is a word I used to use in real estate all the time. In terms of passion, being Italian,
yes.
Food is part of your passion, of course. My parents get up first thing in the morning. They ask themselves, what are we going to have for lunch? What are we going to have for dinner?
Wow.
And where are we going to go buy it? So fresh ingredients, authentic Italian food. We call it verace, but it's in Dallas, and it's in the Arts District, beautiful location across from the Opera and the Symphony. Voted best restaurant, voted most romantic, best Italian, best new restaurant. All in the first year. I was flabbergasted. I mean, if you just look at the reviews.
Yes. In fact, you teed that up nicely, because we're going to go to his press page from Vesuvius Holdings. And I mean, as we scroll down this, best restaurant, I mean, that has to be just humbling.
Yeah. What's really fun, I go there and I play. I say I go down and play. I'm not there all the time. I certainly didn't start a restaurant, and I'm not there like a manager. I mean, for anybody wanting to start a restaurant or get into real estate, be prepared for very long hours and not having much of a personal family life for sure. So kudos to all my team there at the restaurant. They put in long hours. They get there at 12. They leave at 11 o'clock, midnight, and start all back up again the next day, 6 days a week. So they're only off on Monday. They work extremely hard. Hospitality guys are crazy hours and commitment to the business. But sure. Yeah, I go down there and I play a couple of times, and it's so rewarding. People seeing, we found you on Google, we flew in from here. This was a restaurant we wanted to eat in Dallas. We had I can't say who, but he's a famous golfer and just won the Masters tournament. And his caddy and him came down to the restaurant, and I just happened to be there here last week, and no, this week, yeah. Everybody just loves it. And I always ask, how did you find us? And they say, oh, you have great reviews, and you're all over the place. We wanted some good Italian food. This was the place.
Okay, and when you have people coming over from Italy and they taste it for the first time, are they?
That's the litmus test.
Yes.
If you got an Italian guy that comes in and they let you know, it's really hard to please Italians, right? No matter what, they can go to Italy and still go to an Italian restaurant, and nothing is ever as good as what they make at home. Right? We're super proud of our. Everybody in Italy thinks they're a chef, and that's not a far fetch.
I don't want you to give away any trade secrets, but you're looking for the right ingredients because if you're going to create true Italian food, you can't use Prego sauce.
No, and that's difficult. I mean, if you've been in Dallas a long time, but let's take, for example, Napolitan pizza wasn't a thing here in Dallas until maybe 10 years ago, right? We're still fairly young to the Italian authentic cuisine. A lot of people think fettuccine Alfredo is Italian cuisine, or chicken parm, or Caesar salad. I would say if I'm going to an Italian restaurant and I have Caesar salad or fettuccine Alfredo, I'm not walking in there. Or spaghetti and meatballs for that fat.
Yes.
We have meatballs, but we don't have spaghetti and meatballs.
Well, congratulations on your success, because I was there for the grand opening and you had a big party, and notoriously in Dallas, a restaurant can be hot for a minute and then the next thing it's closed out. So what's been the secret to the longevity in the restaurant industry?
That's kind of goes into starting any business. Everybody always hears the restaurant business is a tough business to get in, and that is so true. But so is real estate. I mean, 70% of real estate agents fail in their first year. 70% of restaurants fail in their first year. It's a combination. Did you ever watch Succession?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite shows, right?
Me too.
I mean, I'm sad that what are those guys' names? The Family's no longer on TV.
Right. I know.
Such a good show. Yeah. But there was a phrase in that show that said, "Capital with experience is equal to success." And I had the capital to start the real estate business and fund it. We're debt free. We didn't go borrow any money, so that was important. Of course, if you go borrow money, that's going to sink your P&L for any kind of business startup for sure. But I had the capital to start the restaurant, and then I had the experienced team along with me being able to run a business. Vesuvius back end to do all the accounting, all the HR, all the marketing, all the administrative services, and then of course the culinary experience from my mom, my dad. The chef that we have now, Frankie, and the other chefs that we've had along the journey. And then my business partner, Ricardo Ravaglio, which is one of the part owners of the restaurant. And he was a Cipriani, Upper East Side in New York for 20-something years, 100% Italian as well. Tremendous experience in the hospitality business. So we had that experience, and so the team was great, and we created magic. And that's why Stella is so popular.
Wow. Okay, we only have a minute or so left. I want you to talk about, because your family's so important to you, what life lessons are you hoping your kids are learning from you just by observing?
They saw Dad become an entrepreneur. The older ones saw Dad become an entrepreneur, and the success story out of our living room. They saw Dad get up every morning and either be an engineer or get in the car and go show houses all weekend. So I hope that they learn that success, it's not easy, but it comes with a lot of commitment, a lot of hard work. So you may be the most talented person in the world. My son knows that. He was an extremely talented baseball player, but hard work beats talent every single day. My daughter is, my oldest one is working with a chef called Thomas Keller, which I'm sure you're familiar with, at Per Se, a restaurant in New York City. And she sees it firsthand what hard work really, really means. A lot of talented chef, but not everybody gets to be a Thomas Keller.
Yeah. You are so inspiring, and thanks for reminding us all about the American dream, because it's so important. We're going to end with his website, which is vesuvius.org. The great JP Piccinini. Thanks for coming on the show.
Jeff, thanks a lot.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.